Jai Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Gaurvani Prachani Sri. I'm going to break a little with tradition here and read something. Not all of it, but it's part of a lecture that Prabhupada spoke in 1972 in New Vrindavan on his Vyasa-puja day. So if you'll indulge me, Mr. Timekeeper, it'll take about 7 minutes to read all of it. Not all of it, but I'll read part of it. I didn't know there was a time limit, but I think it's actually a good thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Prabhupada speaking. This ceremony... Ladies and gentlemen, this ceremony, of course, those who are my students, they know what is this ceremony. Those who are visitors, for their information, I may inform you something about this ceremony. Otherwise, it may not be understood. The grammar might not be perfect, but it's because it's a spoken thing. And after all, it's not probably his first language, English. Why a person is being worshipped like God, question mark. An outsider may see it that. There may be some doubt. So this is the etiquette. This ceremony is called Vyasa-puja. Vyasa. Vyasa means the original author of Vedic literature. He is incarnation of Narayan. He gave us all Vedic literature. He received the knowledge from Narada. Narada received the knowledge from Brahma. Brahma received the knowledge from Krishna. So in this way, the disciplic succession, we get transcendental knowledge. Just like I have already explained, Krishna gives the knowledge, perfect knowledge, to Brahma. And Brahma gives the knowledge to Narada. And Narada gives the knowledge to Vyasa. Vyasa gives the knowledge to Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya gives the knowledge to his disciplic succession. Later on, to Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri gives that knowledge to Ishvara Puri. Ishvara Puri gives that knowledge to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya, Ishvara Prabhu gives that knowledge to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya. He delivers that knowledge, Lord Chaitanya, he delivers that knowledge to his immediate disciples, 6 Goswamis. The 6 Goswamis delivers the knowledge to Srinivasacharya, Jiva Goswami, then Kaviraj Goswami, then Vishwanath Chakravarti, then Jagannath Das Babaji, then Bhakti Vinod Thakur, then Gorkishore Das Babaji, then my spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Then we are distributing the same knowledge. We, is like that's sometimes called the royal we, but he means I. That's just his way of gently speaking. So that perfect knowledge can come from God, and one who distributes that knowledge exactly as God has said, he is perfect. Just like a post peon comes and delivers you, say, $100. So he is not delivering the $100. Your friend has sent you $100, and his business is to hand over that $100 as it is, without any change, without taking $1 from it. No adding, no addition, no subtraction. His honesty, his perfection, is that he delivers you that $100, which is sent by your friend. That is his honest perfection. He may be imperfect in so many ways, but when he does his business perfectly, he is perfect. Similarly, this Vyasa-puja means we receive perfect knowledge from Krishna through the agency of spiritual master. So this is Vyasa-puja. Means one day in a year, on the birthday of the spiritual master, because he is representative of Vyasa, he is delivering the same knowledge, which has come down by disciplic succession without any change. He is offered the respect. This is called Vyasa-puja. And the spiritual master receives all honor, all contribution on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not for his person. Just like in our country, when there was British rule, there was a viceroy, a king's representative. So naturally, almost done, when viceroy used to go to a meeting, many people used to present valuable jewels, this much, because just to honor him. But the law was that not a single of the jewels or contribution the viceroy could touch. It was going to royal treasury. The viceroy could accept on behalf of the king all contribution, but it goes to the king. Similarly, this day, Vyasa-puja day, whatever honor, contribution, and feelings is being offered to the spiritual master, it is, again, as we have received this knowledge from upwards, this respect also goes from downward to upward. This is the process. So, as the spiritual master is the teacher of the student, he has to teach the disciple how to send back his respect and contribution to God. This is called Vyasa-puja. So spiritual master is respected as good as God. Why? Sakshat Taritvena Samasta Shastri. They have already chanted this song, Samasta Shastri, in all Vedic literature. Samasta, all samasta means all. Shastra means the Vedic literature. The Shastras in the Vedic literature. They have declared that spiritual master is as good as God. Not God, but as good as God. The Mayavadi, they think that the spiritual master is also God. No, we Vaishnava, we don't accept that theory. But actually, how a man can become God? Question. No, but because he is God's representative, he is honored as God. Not that he has become God. Kintu prabhoya priya eva tasya. Just like you have got a dear son. If somebody pets your son, even pets your dog, you become pleased. So the spiritual master is a very confidential servant, dog of God. Therefore, if you can please him, yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadat, if you can please the spiritual master, then God is pleased. Just like your small child. If somebody pleases that child, you become automatically pleased. You can please that child with a 2-cent worth lozenges. But to please you, it may take thousands of dollars. So you can finish the business by offering a lozenges. So this is the position of spiritual master. Don't misunderstand that, quote, this person is sitting very comfortably and taking all honors and contribution, end quote. It is needed just to teach them how to respect the representative of God. This is the sum and substance of Vyasa-puja. Thank you very much.
You have your own personal offering you'd like to read. We've got plenty of time.
If there's time, I'll read it. It's in the book.
Sure.
I think.
Someone.
The reason I read this was that I have said on several occasions, but not enough times, that the people who are initiating nowadays, after Prabhupada's departure, are what we might call assistant teachers or teachers' assistants. We're not actually the be-all and end-all. That's cultish. One devotee who I know, I'm not going to name him or her, him. I guess there are no female gurus at this point. Said that we respect everybody, whether they're offspins of ISKCON or not. And one devotee compared ISKCON to an ashram. In India, like an ashram was a kind of a small place where people they had one guru. So in a sense, this ISKCON, which is now worldwide, is an ashram. But we respect people of all ashrams. We respect them. We love them. But they're in a different ashram. So we don't go into that ashram. We don't proselytize in that ashram. Just like the people in India generally don't do that. They don't go to another ashram to proselytize or to spread their knowledge of what their thing, whatever it is. The point is that we're all Vaishnavas and we're all lovable. And even if we're not Vaishnavas, even if we're not human beings, we're lovable. Vidya Vinaya Samprane, but we're Panditak Samadarshana. We love everyone. Anyway, I'll read this tiny offering. Actually, it's quite long. Like 2.5 pages? No time? Okay. It's called Shakespeare, Poetry, and Shastra. When leading Hollywood actress Julie Christie visited the first American Transcendental Exhibition at the Los Angeles Temple in 1977, she paused at the third diorama. The sculpture depicted the changing body, as described by Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, as it is. Second chapter, 13th verse. She immediately began to recite the following passage from Shakespeare's As You Like It. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrance, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 stages. And then she had to stop, as she was glued to the diorama before her. The passage continues. And then, whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school, and then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad, made to his mistress's eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths, and bearded like the pard, meaning leopard, I guess, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon line, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6/8 shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice, turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends this strange, eventful history, is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. By the way, sans in French means without. I'll just read that last line again. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. As you may have detected already, this offering is in the form of a seminar. I'm going to talk about Srila Prabhupada's relationship with William Shakespeare and a bit about poetry in general. Maybe Srila Prabhupada's education at Scottish Churches College had something to do with his recall of Shakespeare and other English poets. Lecturing on the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita on May 27, 1966 in New York, he said, "I think there is a line in Shakespeare, the lunatic, mad, and the poet, or something like that. Quote, all compact in thought," end quote. This reference is to A Midsummer Night's Dream, Act 5, Scene 1, which says, "The lunatic, the lover, and the poet are of imagination all compact." So a madman and an Atmarati person, self-satisfied man, outwardly you will find there is no difference, but inwardly, oh, there is vast difference. Shakespeare hit on some Vedic truths. Sometimes great English poets inadvertently, or in the name of intellectual philosophy, write of truths that sound almost shastric, or the poets sometimes convey meaning to philosophy or historical incidents described in Vedic texts. Srila Prabhupada often quoted renowned poets of India, some of whose writings surpassed even those of the West. In his To Be or Not to Be soliloquy, Hamlet is considering death. Some of his thoughts are expressed in these lines. "Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them?" Question mark. In a sense, the 5 Pandava brothers suffered the, quote, slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, end quote, when they tolerated the Kaurava's many atrocities, including the attempt to denude their wife publicly, the setting of their house on fire, and the arrangement for a demon to kill them. Despite these abominations, which took place prior to the final battle, the Pandava princes didn't retaliate. Moreover, their saintly mother prayed for more such tribulation, so that she could better remember God. Thus, mother and sons tolerated the many slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. In the end, however, the Pandavas fought Duryodhana and company on the battlefield, thus taking, quote, arms against a sea of troubles, end quote, tyranny and atheism, and ending the strife, the sea of troubles, the kingdom of godliness. They had taken arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing ended them. In this case, the Pandavas engaged in sanctioned capital punishment. The laws of Manu state that those who set fire to one's house or kidnap one's wife must be punished by death. One who punishes such aggressors is, according to Shastra, without sin. In another of Shakespeare's plays, Romeo and Juliet, Juliet asks, "What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet." She was referring to the clan war between the Capulets, Juliet's family, and the Montagues, Romeo's patronymic. These two families opposed the amorous liaison of the young people. During a lecture at Northeastern University in Boston on April 30th, 1969, Srila Prabhupada said, quote, "Lord Chaitanya says, it doesn't matter If you have got any bona fide name of God, you chant that name. You chant God's name. Thus, Srila Prabhupada intimated, as Juliet did, that the particular name is not as important as the substance being named. Srila Prabhupada repeated this concept many times. It is a fact that poetry is an integral component of all Vedic Shastras. It is a form of ruchi in which the excellence of elements is highly visible, especially to masters of the Sanskrit language. Srila Prabhupada told us that all shlokas are poems. Srila Prabhupada once said that many of us, even those ignorant of the Sanskrit language, could recognize the cadence of the Srimad Bhagavatam verse that ends with Padam Padam Yadvi Padam Nate Sham. Srila Prabhupada's general manner of speech was particularly poetic. He brought deep and greater meaning when he used words like skyscraper and wildfire. In the list of 26 qualities of a devotee, the word kavi, K-A-V-I, poet, appears as the 24th. Indeed, the author of Chaitanya Chaitamrita is Krishnadas Kaviraj, Kaviraj meaning king of the poets, or poet king. Throughout Srila Prabhupada's teachings, he often referred to Cowper, Ben Jonson, Emerson, Kipling, Jayadev, Valmiki, Brahma, Vidyapati, Tagore, and others. Some were referred to anonymously. He simply characterized them as Hindu, Bengali, or Indian poets. The British intellectual Ben Jonson is said to have said, "Poetry speaketh somewhat above a mortal mouth," intimating that poetry can have a supra-mundane effect. Jan Martel, the Canadian writer of the 2002 Booker Prize for his book, The Life of Pi, wrote poetically, "Choosing doubt as a philosophy of life is like selecting immobility as a means of transportation." Ernest Hemingway's style of writing of fiction is sometimes said to be poetic. Sometimes fiction writers incorporate biblical passages. For example, in To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee writes, "Let the dead bury the dead," from Matthew 8:22. This phrase appears at a turning point in her famous novel. Seminar question 1. Doesn't Srila Prabhupada, quoting Shastra, state in several places that all compositions, no matter how eloquent or brilliant or by linguistic standards, are totally useless if they do not properly glorify the personality of Godhead? What would you say to this? What you say is undoubtedly true. However, I am certain that poetry has its place in Krishna consciousness literature and the preaching of Paramahamsas. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada Das, please. And then